everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm so happy to have you guys today with me for today's topic. Today's topic is how judgment stops you from accepting yourself and loving yourself. Before we begin, I want to talk about why there is good and bad judgment. I have good judgment, which is principally a way of survival mode. So you're going to analyze situations in terms of logic, in terms of understanding your circumstances, your situations in base of survival, of understanding how to act, which is in general part of our human nature. Like it's gonna naturally be part of who you are and how you're acting in social circumstances, situations. Third, there is bad judgment, where it's going to be mainly your emotions and your ego making assumptions, projection onto other people, or making fun of other people for whatever reasons. And we're going to talk about those reasons today. Good judgment is principally a process of logic, of open-minded analysis. You're not just seeing your perspective, you're seeing the outer perspective, how things might be from both sides, not just your side. And you're gonna base it in terms of your past experiences, your life experience. Bad judgment is principally a process of emotions, of closed-minded assumption, because it's your ego projecting probably hidden traumas, insecurities, your shadow that you are not aware of yet. And so, you're going to be labeling someone instantly. Let's talk about why people enjoy judging others. Why other people even judge other people, and what does it show about you, about other people, about how they feel within themselves. So the first reason is unconscious projection. What is unconscious projection? When you're going to project your own insecurities, traumas, shadow onto other people, because you are in denial of what's happening within yourself, or you haven't been able to become really aware of your own projections, so you're going to judge it into someone else. Now, let me give you an example. Someone that might suffer from an eating disorder, they're struggling with their identity, with how they see themselves, with food, all of those things. They might judge other people in terms of how they eat, in terms of their appearance, because they themselves are struggling with that internally. Another example, a person could say that someone is too loud, too confident. This might show that they aren't taking their place enough outside. Another thing is someone calling you selfish, saying you're always prioritizing yourself. This might show that they never really prioritize themselves and that they are people pleasing. So this is called unconscious projection. Most of the time, if you decide to become aware of your own behavior, then you are about to judge someone for something, try to recognize what does this show internally about who you are, because most of the time it shows something about yourself, about your actions, about your beliefs, about something you're struggling within yourself, or you don't allow yourself to have whatever the reason. Another thing is ego power. So when you haven't healed, you have a lot of traumas, have a lot of insecurity. Judging onto other people is a good way of making you feel good internally about who you are. It gives you a false sense of superiority and of confidence. The problem with this is that it's temporary. It makes you think that you are someone confident when you are not. It's just a temporary satisfaction to make you feel good about what you haven't recognized within yourself. Listen, we all have traumas and things to work on, and when you don't work on yourself, understanding your shadow, so your shadow is the bad side of who you are, is the things you will repress, you will judge in others, might be mean in certain aspects of your life and you might not acknowledge it. That is your shadow. We all have it. And until you acknowledge your shadow, it's going to project itself into your situations, how you're working with your ego, your view of yourself and of others, and of not being humbled. And when you haven't worked on healing yourself and on understanding your shadow, so the bad part of who you are, it's not even a bad part, it's just a side of yourself that you haven't acknowledged, that comes from your traumas principally, of your insecurities, and of what you're scared of becoming, of being, or how you're interacting with others. And so when you haven't healed, your ego and this false sense of superiority is hiding what you haven't yet been able to understand about your shadow. The other point is going to be fear of rejection. A lot of people are going to put themselves in groups and judge other people because they themselves fear being judged and rejected. And it's a way of controlling the narrative and the power dynamic. Judging people might give you a temporary satisfaction with your friends, laughing with them, feeling like you're finally accepted for who you are. But when you come back home after, it's a temporary satisfaction because deep down you know how you're acting. You know within your soul that this is not a good way to act with other people. You don't feel secure in how you're acting, but you ignore it because it's better to avoid accountability of your ego, of your healing, than to admit that you're the problem. So that's what I want to talk about, is that a lot of us are scared of healing and of understanding this bad part of who we are. Because first, in the society, we show ourselves in our best selves. We don't really talk about the shadow. But also because it means taking accountability of your circumstances and of recognizing where you are the problem, where you are not acting in a good way. And listen, we all have traumas. The reasons why you might be acting this way is coming from a trauma, from a lack of confidence, of security within yourself. But the moment you decide to understand your shadow, your insecurities, and understanding why you're judging this person and how it represents probably something about yourself, is the moment this forces you to become humble about who you are, but of confronting your darkest parts of who you are, your insecurities, and this makes you become humble, but also have a broader perspective of life around you and of yourself, what you actually need to work within yourself. Because right now you're putting a defensive mechanism where you're judging other people to make you feel good about yourself. What about acknowledging your shadow and understanding why you're judging this person, to step into accountability of oneself, of your ego, understanding where those insecurities comes from and healing them. And by healing, it means doing shadow work. It means understanding your shadow first, shadow work, grieving, working with those insecurities, understanding that you are not perfect and becoming humble about who you are. So basically, how does this correlate to how you don't love yourself and you are not accepting yourself? Well, first, if you don't accept yourself, you're not gonna accept other people. But when you do love yourself and accept yourself, you do accept and love others no matter how they're acting. Yeah, you might be mad. You might be mad for when someone does you wrong, but you're not gonna wish them bad things. You're not gonna judge them because personally for me, since I've started my healing journey, I'm able to see people more clearly outside of just how they're acting. I understand that a lot of us are acting from our traumas, from our insecurity, from how this inner child was hurt in the past. And that's what I see. If you judge other people all the time, you hate yourself. You probably hate yourself. You are not secure within yourself. And this is hard to acknowledge, right? This is hard to acknowledge. Your ego protects your identity. Your ego is like, no, I'm good, and it feels superior. It's like, no, they are the problem. I'm not the problem. But listen, we all play a role in our circumstances, in our situations. And it's not a bad thing to realize that you might judge other people. You might not be as a good person as you think you are. But if you want to be a good person, then work on those things. That's the only way you'll be able to truly grow. And when you will decide to do this inner work, what does this impact you after? It will impact your circumstances, the people you attract, the situations you attract, because you cannot attract good circumstances. You're always going to attract who you are as a person. What do you want in your life? Do you want a good life? Do you want to heal those fucking traumas that have hurted you? The only way you can truly move forward and become a good person is by healing those traumas. Because the more you welcome yourself, accept yourself, the more you will accept others. And that doesn't mean that you're going to put up with everything that they're doing, but you're gonna see them from a place of compassion instead of hate, because you have accepted yourself. I think that humanity would be beautiful if we all healed on our traumas. Because as I said, when you see yourself through all of who you are, your insecurities, the way you project onto the other people, the way you're not secure, the way you can be even a bully or you can be mean, is the ways that we take responsibility on our personality and we don't project onto other people. All of the people that are bullying other people, why are they doing this? Because they hate themselves, because maybe they were themselves bullied. It's all repeating itself. The moment you welcome your humanity, you can welcome others' humanity, and that is why if we would all heal, life would be resolved. I'm telling you guys. And of course, I know, like, it's not really realistic. Not everyone is going to want to take accountability of their actions, of who they are. But basically, I think you guys understand my point that judging other people is a sign of insecurity, of unhealed traumas, and of inner work you have to do within yourself. Because judging other people is not going to make you feel better within yourself. Deep down, you know that how you're acting is deeply loser. It's a loser behavior. And what matters is recognizing it to change it. Because I'm not even blaming any of those things. I'm not encouraging them, but I do understand that some people are traumatized. You put defensive mechanism. That doesn't excuse them, but you have the ability to understand why you're doing this. And this gives you the answers to after actually fulfill real inner confidence, real self-mastery of who you are, and always constantly improve with your ego, with your shadow, and actually step into self-love and your purpose and real authenticity. Because when you truly have understood all of the layers of who you are, all of how you've been shaped, how you're not acting from a good place, it's all of the ways you have the tools to change those things, but also over time, just accept who you are and just always constantly improve yourself and help yourself. Also, another point I want to explain is that healing is difficult because it forces you into humility and humbleness of who you are. Because most people are faking who they are because they haven't healed. What does faking mean? It means thinking you're confident when you just feel superior because you're deep down insecure and your ego is controlling the narrative of how you could take accountability for yourself. You have to understand that that is why most people won't heal, and it can be scary. Why? Because you become humble of who you are. You understand you aren't really perfect. You can be mean. You can be a fucking bitch. You can be all of those bad things. We don't acknowledge this in the society. So this makes us feel ashamed of who we are and ignore it. But ignoring it is not gonna stop it. You're just gonna project it into your relationship when you're fighting with someone, when you're having an argument, whatever reason. That is why if you want to stop those patterns, you have to acknowledge it. And no, it's fucking hard. It's fucking hard. You hit a wall where you see all of your insecurities, all of your shadow. But I'm telling you guys, all have it. We all have it. Some people will decide to look at it. Some people will ignore it and become narcissists. It's not something to fear. It's the greatest sensors that you could use to actually build real authenticity, real security and self-mastery. Because you understand all of the bad ways you're showing up, but all of the ways you really think you're confident and you're not, and how you're self-sabotaging yourself, how you're not good to other people. What does this help you understand? It helps you fucking grieve what made you become this person and let go of this narrative and take the control back on who you really want to become. So to heal, to understand your shadow work, and improve from there to there. How to understand your shadow and step into self-love. You have to understand what triggers you in other people. Where are you judging other people? That this could actually reflect some self-reflection on your own behavior and on how you see yourself. What you see in others is what you truly see within yourself. So, what is making you judge this person? What is triggering you from this person? What insecurities, strengths this person has that you don't have that trigger you? Understand those things. These are answers that you could actually your way to actually building those things. If you ignore them, you'll never build them. When are you acting from a place of ego to hide the insecurities? And listen, your ego is really important. Understand your own inner power, but you do have to have a healthy relationship with your ego and understanding when it's not beneficial. Thinking you're better than everyone, is it really making you feel better about who you are? No. I don't think so. Like, you have to help your ego become healthy in some sort of way. And being humble is honestly one of the best ways you're going to be truly able to fulfill self-love and love yourself. Because when you're humble, you truly have a rooted confidence and self-love, because you don't think you're better than anyone else. You just know how far you've came, how much you've worked on yourself. That is what makes you different than people that think they're superior, and makes you even more powerful. Because even at the place that you are right now, you don't think you're better than anyone else. You understand that everyone has the same ability to become who you are. And that is great confidence, inner security of who you are, and the best self-love, self-confidence, because it comes from truth. It comes from truth. It is not fake. Faking is thinking you're better when no one is better than anyone. You could get to someone that is a trillionaire, a millionaire, and you could tomorrow become someone that has nothing. So understand that being humble will get you really far in life. Another thing that you will have to do is you have to not judge yourself. And of course, you're not gonna arrive in one day and just accept yourself. As I'm always saying in my videos, healing is a journey of discovering your insecurities, and not just your insecurities, also your strengths. But you have to welcome your bad parts as much as your good parts, because if you don't accept them, you cannot work with them. This was the end of my video, guys. I hope this video helped you understand why anytime you might be judging someone in a negative way, why it's truly showing something about who you are, and why you shouldn't fear your shadow or your insecurities. In a world where we show ourselves at our best selves on social media, all of us are internally struggling with something and working with something that other people don't see. And if you want this ability to truly become the best version of yourself, you do have to come to terms with the version that you don't want to be. And that is by confronting your shadow, your insecurities, and not judging it, but welcoming it enough so you feel safe in yourself. The thing that people might be with their ego and judge other people is that you are not making yourself feel safe. And this might come from, I don't know, traumas, whatever you have went through. But you're your biggest ally. You're your biggest best friend. Your friends that are judging other people with you, they might not even be there in 10 years. And you're still always going to come back to this void, to this loneliness you feel. Before healing, I always felt like something was missing, and it was reconnecting with myself. And healing requires you, gives you that, but first you have to confront how you're not a good person, how you can be a good person, and work with those aspects. And I'm telling you guys, it has helped me tremendously. Of course, I still struggle with certain things. Sometimes therapy is even necessary. But it has made me become a version of myself that I always deserved to be, but I couldn't be because I was confronted with all of the traumas and limiting beliefs that I didn't work on. And if you want to step into authenticity, self-love, and feeling good alone, not needing anyone else, healing is your tool. And if you guys have any questions, you can write to me. Also, if you guys want to support the video, it's going to help my community grow. So whatever you can do is going to make me super happy. But if you guys want to write to me, put some comments, do as you please. And if you guys have any suggestions, ideas, tell me. But yeah, just remember to be kind to yourself, to be kind to others. You never know what we go through. You never know how we can make an impact in other people's lives. So yeah, I love you all so much, and I will see you all in another video. Thank you so much for being there with me today.